Hey guys, it's Kristyl Clark from valleymom.ca. For those of you who don't know me, I am a 38-year-old mom from Langley, BC. I've got two little girls, Molly and Zoe. They're 8 and 10. And recently, my husband Jason and I went to CBM Lawyers to talk about getting a will. We hadn't had one done yet, so we recently decided now is the time to get that done. And we spoke with Alisyn Killeen, who's here today. So hi, Alisyn.
Hi, Kristyl. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Well, thank you.
Good. Thanks for taking the time to chat with me today. Some of my friends, viewers, and readers have had some questions because they're in the same boat, decided that kids are getting a little older, maybe they purchased their first home, and realizing that it's a decision that you really shouldn't put off any longer, deciding to get a will. So got some questions here that some people have sent me. So first of all, why is it so important that we parents do get a will?
The number one reason to get a will as a parent is for your children. You want to be able to name who's guardian of your children if they're under 19, specifically because if you don't name anybody at all, then any individual in your family can apply to become their guardian. And when you think about it, and you think about that one family member that you're never really sure of, never really want to take care of your kids, they could just as equally have and raise your children. So that's a significant reason why I have a will as a parent specifically. So Kristyl, why did you and your husband, Jason, decide to now come get a will?
Well, good question. It's something that we've been putting off year after year ever since our first was born. And we just had a really tough time deciding on who the caregiver would be if we were to pass. And it's just, we didn't want to think about it. But as we were getting older and we were recently planning our second honeymoon, that was before the COVID pandemic, and we were going to go away to Costa Rica. And we wanted to have plans set in place in case, heaven forbid, something was to happen to us. And just could rest my head easier at night knowing that we have a plan for my two girls.
Absolutely. That is what I hear most often is it's about procrastination, knowing that this should be done, but not having the time or ability to do so, and not knowing who to choose. But when you really think about it, your list of people who you trust to take care of your children is not a long list. There's a couple of names for sure. And what I tell a lot of parents is, you can never be replaced as a parent. So you're not looking for your replacement. You're looking to name someone who's going to do a good job at raising your children.
Yeah, absolutely. And cost-wise, I know that was another factor why we kind of put it off. It's hard enough to be a parent in these times with the cost of housing and living, and just it's one of those things where it just seemed like an extra cost that we weren't ready for. So tell us about the cost.
Absolutely. So we have a few different price structures. So as an individual or as a couple, there's different pricing. And there's a couple of additional documents people often consider getting done at the same time as your will, which is a power of attorney representation agreement. So if you end up getting all 6 documents, so 3 documents per person in a couple, altogether it comes to under $1,200, and that's the most expensive package there is there. Essentially, the reason to have a will done now is because you never know if you didn't do the will right until it's too late. So the legal fees that can be spent on the other side of it when somebody steps up to take care of your estate can be in the thousands, if not tens of $1,000 range.
Wow, that's terrifying.
Yeah, absolutely. If there's a fight, some type of legal issue, your kids are up in the air during that time, and trying to deal with the grief of losing parents at the same time. I can't imagine that hardship. So it's a simple price to get it done, out of the way, have your peace of mind, and know that on the other end of it, your entire estate isn't going to be drained in legal fees.
And I know when we had it done, we booked grandma to babysit the kids. And we booked it for a few hours thinking it was going to be a long, drawn out, tedious process. And as you know, we were in and out in about half an hour, and we were able to sneak in dinner and a movie after that. So it was quick, which was great. You touched on it a bit before. Just what are some of the ramifications of if you weren't to do a will?
Yeah, the ramifications are without a will, your estate passes through intestate, which the legal term for it. So there's a specific set of laws in BC that outline who gets what through intestate. And it may not, and most likely is not going to be who you want it to. So a portion of it would go to your spouse, if your spouse is still alive at the same time, and the remaining value would go to your kids. But unfortunately, depending on who's alive at that time, how many individuals are involved, it could end up going to parents or siblings, or it's an interesting set of rules that you get no control over if you don't name who you want to name to have all your assets at the end of the day.
Wow. So how do you go about making that difficult decision? I know for us, it really took a long time, and it was kind of like, well, which one of our two sets of parents? But then we started thinking, well, they're getting older, and 10 years from now, they're going to be in their 70s, and I'm not sure they're going to be as up to it as they think they are. So how do you go about making that difficult choice without offending anybody or making the wrong decision?
Well, I mean, it comes down to being just your decision. No one has to see your will when you're gone. What I see most of the time is spouses give everything to each other first. There are any kids, then everything goes to the kids after that. The one piece that most parents get stuck on is thinking about the catastrophe clause in their instructions of the will. So that's, they often give everything to the spouse first, and second, everything goes to their children. But what most parents haven't thought about is if something happens like a catastrophe, like all of you are gone, who gets what then? And it's not always easy. So that some of the different responses I get are a lot of parents, siblings, some nieces and nephews, but sometimes everything goes to a charity from there. And that's a really interesting setup as well. But at the end of the day, it's your choice of who you want to get everything after it's all said and done, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I know nowadays everything, like our conversation right now, is accessible online. You can file your taxes online. You can purchase a car online. Why would you advise against doing your will online?
BC specifically has some very strict rules and laws about doing your will. It has to meet so many standards and specifications to become a valid will. And unfortunately, you don't know if your will is valid or not until you're gone. And then you're leaving whoever else you've named, a spouse or your children or a niece or nephew, to deal with an invalid will at the same time as dealing with the grief of losing you, which is a very, very difficult position to be in. So if doing it online, it might work. Absolutely, it definitely could. But you won't know that for sure until it's too late. Getting it done by a lawyer, it should work, no problems. I mean, our wills end up on the other side of things. Unfortunately, we do have clients who have passed, and we send it through probate and don't have an issue. So it's tested and proven, right?
Yeah. Great. Well, thank you so much, Alisyn. Honestly, it has been such a pleasure working with you and getting this will going. As I said before, Jason and I were just putting this off for so long. We were so worried about it and nervous, and not just about making the wrong decision, the time it would take, and how much money it was going to cost. And the process has been so smooth that we've said from the beginning, we just wish we had done this earlier. So we've done it now. We feel like it's adulting. We're actual adults. We have our will, and we don't really have all that much to leave, but it's just nice to know more so with the kids that they're going to be taken care of. And when we finally do make it on that second honeymoon, be a lot less stressful and a lot less scary. So thank you so much.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Kristyl. It was wonderful working with you as well. And I'm very pleased to hear that you had a good experience, and particularly that it was smoother and shorter than you anticipated.